Afternoon, as a lot of activity has been springing off towards the north and really ramping up in intensity. We have a very similar environment that is going to be conducive of not only allowing these storms to form, Josh, but then also to really continue to grow. So that's why the tornado warning that's been issued is so large in size. The National Weather Service is trying to do the same thing that we do, give you a first alert, give you as much time to get prepared. So in northern Perry County, you need to get in that tornado safe place right now. The immediate threat, though, is that northeastern corner of Marengo, and then eventually crossing over into the southeastern corner of Hale County. Couple of towns right here, we put a track on this, moving at about the same speed as the National Weather Service is saying that it's moving on radar. So communities like Maplesville, this might not make it to you for another 30-45 minutes, and then the big bulk of this will likely move over you within the next hour. So we want to give you that first up so you can get ready to go, get ready to move, and get in that tornado safe place. Some places that are a little bit closer to that center of circulation that we're keeping an eyeball on is the New Bern community, and then eventually down the line we're going to watch that move into southern Hale. So that will give us some padding, Josh, to watch where this goes. Does it hold intensity? Is this something that is going to continue to show signs of rotating? And it looks like much of the storms we've seen today, not only in North Alabama but back into Mississippi, have had the long track situation where we've seen multiple tornado warnings, one after the other after the other. So definitely keeping our eyes on this southeastern side of Demopolis. Our friends in Uniontown kind of right on the cusp of that tornado warning. So I will say anywhere from Greensboro south to Uniontown, and then all throughout that tornado polygon, you need to get in that tornado safe place. I know there are some places where it might just be starting to rain right now, like Marion. This is going to pick up in intensity in this area of rotation. If it stays in this environment and it continues to gain a little bit more momentum, could come better organized and could potentially be damaging, if not destructive.
It could, yeah. This is a kind of a huge, very large supercell embedded within a larger mass of rain. That's not your classic tornado producer on a day like today, but we have seen major tornadoes from HP supercells that were embedded into large clusters. That happens. That is not an uncommon thing, especially in our part of the world. So that's why we want you to take this thing seriously. You'll note around it, you've got some scattered, just sort of hit or miss downpours. You don't have anything else really around it that's going to weaken it. The other thing I would point out, this is very much a rain-wrapped circulation. If you go outside looking for this, all you're going to see is a wall of water. It's just a big rain-wrapped circulation. The National Weather Service telling us the updraft beginning to intensify into this. Thunderstorms are sort of like engines, right? You have a column of rise.
Concerning and telling us that there could be potential rotation making it to the ground.
Yeah, so I would make the argument if we have a tornado in here, it's going to be right out here near Allenville. That's pretty close to Faunsdale, too, by the way. So if you live near Faunsdale, you need to be in that tornado safe place right over Allenville and Laneville, very close to where Marengo and Hale County come together right there. So this is US 80 running east and west. That's downtown Uniontown and Perry County. That's Demopolis over in Marengo County. It's right over the Allenville, Faunsdale area right now. Movement towards the northeast, so New Bern is next. It's over Allenville and Laneville right now. Let me zoom you back in a little tighter into this. That's the type of signature. I suspect we're going to see this really tighten up in the next few scans. I hope I'm wrong, but that has all the looks of a storm that's maybe not producing a tornado yet, but probably in 10 minutes will be. Take it seriously. Treat it like it's already producing. Don't wait on that to happen, right? But the rotation over Allenville, I think, will strengthen as it moves towards Sunshine, New Bern, and Coleman within the next 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. These are moving very rapidly today, northeast at 55. So if you wait until you hear it or see it, you will not have time to react and get to that tornado safe place. Go ahead now and get there. Now, the broader perspective here, I do want to kind of just show you what all we're up against here. This is not the only game in town. There's actually a huge line of supercells that extend back down into southeast Mississippi. That one's prompted a tornado warning in Wayne County, Mississippi. Multiple severe thunderstorm warnings along the Mississippi coast. These will move northeast into an area that hasn't had much rain today. It's been sunny. The sun came out. Temperatures spiked up into the 80s. Tons of wind shear. This is a dangerous storm environment. And the other thing we're noticing here, and the National Weather Service in Mobile pointed this out, there's a little upper level impulse lagging back here over Louisiana. That's going to rotate into southwest Alabama over the course of the next 2-3 hours, and we expect an uptick here in the intensity and the organization of these storms. So bottom line, we have the active tornado warning now in Marengo and Perry, but really this entire southwest Alabama, southeast Mississippi corridor is ripe for tornadic development. And as it moves northeast over the next few hours, it's going to overspread almost all of central and south Alabama. That doesn't mean all of us will have a tornado, but the environment is there across most of the state. Now, for more on the Marengo and Perry storm, I want to toss now over to meteorologist Nick Gunner. And Nick, we've been kind of talking about this for days now, that this would be an environment that could produce tornadoes, and this one may be doing just that.
Yeah, we gave you the first alert ever since last Sunday that we could see a very active day today, and we're seeing that ongoing right now. We've been watching the storms throughout the day today, been here since noon as we were tracking it over in the state of Mississippi, and now that it's entering Alabama, we're starting to see it interact with that very volatile atmosphere that Josh and Amanda just talked about, with those temperatures soaring into the 80s this afternoon. Of course, those gusting winds you may have noticed outside as well. And look at this, we're still watching this storm cell. Me and Josh have been watching it along with Amanda during the start of the 6 o'clock news at the top of the hour, and we were watching it intensely because we were like, it could just tap into that atmosphere. It could start rotating, and that's exactly what it did as it worked its way through portions of Marengo County, and now it's starting to enter places heading toward Uniontown, just north of Uniontown, and heading toward Marion if it holds together. So definitely something we're watching very closely. And I'm watching the structure of the storm cell itself as these storms are racing about 55 miles per hour, and we're seeing that inflow into the storm. I'll draw it here with some arrows. Red goes away from the radar and green goes toward it. And so we're getting inflow into the storm. That's what's causing some of this rotation, where we're seeing the reds and the greens really get close to each other and almost touch. And that's the reason why the National Weather Service in Birmingham has issued this tornado warning. I want to put a quick storm track on this as well as we continue to watch this storm race off to the north and toward the east here as it makes its way toward Marion County at about 55 miles per hour. So I'll go ahead and draw this out for about 55. We'll zoom things out just a little bit so we can get a better vantage point for this storm cell itself. I'll move up a little bit, and I'll go ahead and put this storm track for 55 miles per hour, and you can see it'll make its way toward, let's see, 45, 50, there you go. It'll make its way toward Sprott. That's in portions of Perry County. That's about 713. Brent about 726. Morris Hill about 742. So this storm is racing, and of course we're continuing to watch the rotation within it as it's moving out of Marengo County right now. And as Josh and Amanda mentioned, we're still watching what's happening ongoing down into portions of Mississippi. I know there's a couple tornado warnings down there, a couple severe thunderstorm warnings as well, and it's moving into this atmosphere that is primed for these strong to severe storms, Josh and Amanda.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Amanda pointing out they just trimmed Marengo out of the polygon.
Yes,
good.
Continuing though for southern hail, and especially Perry. This is an area where I think we're starting to get a little bit more of the bright red and the bright green coming together. New scan just coming in. I wouldn't say this is significantly tighter than the last scan, but still evidence of rotation happening. This is going to be south and west of the New Bern community. So it's going to spend a very quick time in Hale County before racing off into the western part of Perry County. I always remembered when I started here learning counties, Perry County kind of shaped like a P. So if you think about the stem of the P, this is going to be moving in closer to the west side of Marion as it heads off towards the north and east. And there are some towns that are going to be on the southern side of that polygon, but it's down the line, Josh. We think additional storms are going to start to form. This one, though, the one of concern as it's showing the signs of the most robust rotation we've seen. All of these currently behaving, but I do think that that little bit of a lull will be short-lived as there's much more activity happening off towards our south and west. So this is likely the first of, hopefully, we think one, but could be many tornado warnings throughout the rest of the night. We hope that this is the only one, but unfortunately, the environment down here, very warm, very muggy, and like Josh mentioned, a secondary low will kind of swing that in, allow a more of a southern and eastern flow to come into these storms that will help fuel them, potentially allow them to rotate from the ground up. You will kind of see the shifting of wind with height, and that is definitely going to help with spin in the atmosphere.
Yeah, it is. And it looks like they just popped a new severe
new
down
severe.
there. That's down in Mobile and southwestern Washington County near Yellow Pine and the state line community. That's along Highway 45 there. So tornado warning Wayne County, Mississippi, Hale and Perry County in Alabama. That Perry County storm is racing towards the northeast, 55, and honestly, it may be going a little faster than that. The tornadic part of it is right there. So this is going to cross over the county line any minute now out of Hale County. This is Hale. It'll cross into Perry. So it's over Sunshine and New Bern right now. You live in those communities, get in your safe place. If you were in Perry County, Marion, Heiberger, Sprott, Morgan Springs, anywhere along Highway 5, Highway 69, Highway 25, anywhere out here in West Alabama along any of those roads we've named, this is going to come right across the northwest side of Marion. So that's downtown Marion right there. That's Alabama 14 coming in from the west and heading back towards Greensboro. And then 5 takes you back up to Heiberger. So 5, 14, 25, 69, those are some of the road names out here. So you've got to get in that tornado safe place. This storm is rotating. It is rain-wrapped rotation, but we're seeing, I still think in the next few scans, you're probably going to see this really start to tighten up a little bit. It's in a favorable environment, and we're starting to see that inflow really accelerate into this right now. You can actually see it pretty well right there just west of New Bern. I'll take the telestration off the screen there. This little green surge you're seeing there, that's that warm air beginning to accelerate into that. So I really suspect right out here around Whitsett and New Bern, we may be seeing tornado formation at any moment now. This is going to move northeast very quickly, though. So it's over Whitsett and New Bern right now. Then this heads on up through Perry County, mainly northwest of downtown Marion. It will be a close call, but there will be. You're in the polygon in Marion, but if you live north or west of downtown Marion in Perry County, move now. Get into that tornado safe place, lowest floor of your hallway, bathroom, hallway, or closet. If you live in a manufactured or mobile home, you have to get out of it. So those are the guidelines there. This is the beginning of this. This is not the end. This is the beginning. I've already heard people on social media, hey, nothing happened. You guys overblew it. It hasn't even started yet. I hope to goodness tomorrow you can all get on Facebook and call us names and say we overblew it. That would mean this went pretty well. But my suspicion is we're still in for a rough night. I don't think we're anywhere near and all clear on this. We're sort of just in the beginning phases of what I think the next 6 to 9 hours are going to be very rough for the state of Alabama. Let me show you why. So back here, I'm going to go to the national composite, kind of fill this in a little bit. So back here into Louisiana and southeast Mississippi, these storms are still not in a line, right? These are not linear storms. There's a supercell, 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 supercell. So as long as those storms maintain that discrete shape where they're out away from other storms, they are going to be extremely dangerous, capable of producing strong, long-track tornadoes, maybe even violent tornadoes. So I say none of that to scare you, but I also understand it's 6:48 at night, and for a lot of you, it hasn't even rained yet.
Yep.
And you're thinking, wait, maybe they missed it, maybe it's not. Please, 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 don't be fooled or lulled into a false sense of complacency. I need you to hang with us and stay weather aware, because I think that the core threat is just now arriving in West Alabama. So this is going to get worse before it gets better, and really don't like what I'm seeing. I mean, that and that and that and that and that. Southeasterly winds starting to accelerate there. This just has the makings to me of a tornado outbreak that is just about to really ramp up.
The other thing, too, is we've talked a lot about the tornadoes, too. The aspect of damaging wind and also hail, those are all definitely threats, too, that we'll be monitoring. And obviously, top of mind, the tornado threat, as that likely is going to be the most impactful. You can see a little bit more of that bright red and green coming together. And I would say, Josh, this is going to become exclusively a Perry County situation. I'd say almost momentarily. But Southern Hail, if you're watching us right now, you have family there, they need to still stay in their tornado safe place. But if you have not moved yet, places north and west of Marion, you need to get in that tornado safe place now. This is moving quickly, and in an environment where it's likely not going to lose momentum for no reason at all. It's not really battling with a whole lot of other systems. And I do think that we've shown signs of it potentially starting to become a little bit more robust in its intensity, but then also in the tightening of that couplet as well. So we're going to be monitoring multiple storms and cells that come in from south and western portions of the viewing area. I think that's where things begin, but as this races north and east, it eventually is going to make that easterly extend into places like Montgomery, into East Alabama, eventually into southern and eastern portions of the state. So while while there is a lull of activity for the majority of our viewing area right now, this is just the kind of the window of opportunity opening up, and an environment that we're seeing currently in southern hail and Perry exists everywhere across the state of Alabama, not just here. If you watch WSFA, that's in Huntsville, that's in Birmingham. We've seen multiple confirmed tornadoes on the ground throughout Mississippi and North Alabama so far today. And unfortunately, I think more of these storms are going to move into an environment where they are not going to have to really battle too much. There's that one right there. You said in Wayne County?
Wayne County, yep.
Yeah, Wayne County, Mississippi, and then also some storms too. And before they even start to show signs of rotation, National Weather Service in Mobile saying this one has the capability of producing hail up to an inch in size. So when we measure hail, we measure the diameter. That's very large, intense hail. So maybe not a bad idea if you are getting ready to settle in for the night. If you have a garage, a covered patio, somewhere that you can put your car for protection. I do think some of these storms, while obviously top of mind, the rotation and the potential for tornadoes, but also hail too can be a very damaging, impactful thing as well.
Right on.
So we'll keep looking at those storms as well to see if they're producing any hail. But I think this is going to be an environment where we're not lacking a lot of severe ingredients. I think we have a lot of them and a lot of those ingredients in abundance tonight too.
That's absolutely right. That's why the Storm Prediction Center maintains that level 5 risk. Essentially, look at that, is right in the middle of that.
Yep.
That tornado warning is right in the middle of that. So is that one. So this is a really dangerous set of circumstances out here in the parts of West Alabama. Let's bring Nick in. Nick, this storm, you were talking about it before we even came on the air. It just sort of has that, it's right there in that spot. Mm-hmm. It's got the shape. It's huge. Walk us through what you're seeing right now.
Well, I'm watching it very closely, and plus there's a lot of lightning within it. And when you see that uptick in lightning, that just shows you the intensity of the storm cell starting to grow. And another thing to take note too, this is not like Oklahoma, the real pretty tornadoes you see out in the middle of open. This is just inundated with tons of rain right now as this storm races off through hail and now making its way into Perry County. Here's the latest scans here on First Alert Doppler radar, and you can see it's just a very messy storm cell itself. And as we look at the relative velocity, that's just fancy meteorology speak for saying the rotation within the storm cell. We're watching where these reds and greens meet very close to one another. And this is what we're seeing, what we've seen strengthen over the past several scans from Doppler radar. And that's the reason why the National Weather Service is maintaining this tornado warning. And it's racing off 55 miles per hour is the movement with this storm, mainly off toward the north and east as it makes its way into Perry County out of hail. So we're watching it very closely right now. Put another storm track on it for you so you can get the first alert to what is upcoming next. And it's moving 55 miles per hour. We'll go ahead and draw this out so you know. And here's the latest. We're looking at Heiberger, 714. We're talking about Brent, about 730, making our way toward active around 737, and then Oakley around 747. That is if this holds together downstream. Now, another thing that we've been watching throughout the day is a lot of time these storm cells will do something they call cycle. They'll get really strong, tap into that atmosphere. It'll strengthen. It'll look like it's producing a tornado, and then it'll start to broaden out a bit, and then it will re-strengthen. So just because they may let this tornado warning expire as this moves on doesn't mean that this storm cell couldn't re-strengthen just because that is the way the atmosphere currently is right now here into the state of Alabama. And that's why, of course, we're on WSFA 12 News, and we've been here throughout the day watching these storms develop and watching them tap into this volatile atmosphere. Another thing I want to show you the big picture. I know you've been doing a good job, Josh and Amanda, about this, but just about how many of thunderstorms, severe storms, tornado warnings are ongoing. I'll broaden this out. We're seeing even more activity here in East Tennessee. So this is a very large storm system that's impacting not only us here in Alabama, but also East Tennessee, over into Mississippi. And of course, it marched across places like Memphis, Louisiana, Arkansas yesterday. I know there was damage in places near Jonesboro, Arkansas, down in portions of Mississippi near the Delta there. So it is a very large storm system that we're continuing to watch. Now, the reason why we are currently on WSFA 12 News, getting close to the top of the hour, 7 o'clock, we are looking at this storm that is fixing to be exclusively in northern Perry County. The National Weather Service out of Birmingham covers this area. They do a good job of updating the warnings and talking with us continuously to help us give you the best information that you possibly can. Let's say
the Sheriff's Office reporting a tornado on the ground crossing 61 near New Bern.
61 near New Bern, so that's right down here.
Yep.
Yeah, right down here, south of Greensboro. That's 61. There's New Bern, and so that's heading into Perry County right now as this continues to march off. I guess that'd be close to maybe just south of Morgan Springs, Heiberger, and northern portions of Perry County. So they redrew this polygon. It was very broad to begin with. It did include places like Sprott and down toward Marion. They've redrawn this to include mainly northern portions of Perry County, but you may have a Sprott address. You may have a Marion address and are still in this polygon. So take cover now. I know we talk about this a lot. What do? Lowest level of your home. If you have a basement, that's great. If you can get into an interior room, a hallway, a closet, a bathroom with no windows, do it now. Do it now as this storm continues to race, as it seems like they are now getting visual confirmation of this tornado as it's moving out of Hale and moving into northern Perry. With more information, let's send it back over to Amanda and Josh. You can have new storm tracks and have, of course, the best technology over there in the Vance Law Firm Storm Track Zone.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks, Nick, for the analysis on that storm. And here it is, right over Sand Road, County Road 48. It's past 61 now. Your possible tornado, or now apparently confirmed tornado, would be right here, just northwest of Coleman, just northeast of New Bern. Movement here back towards the northeast. This will cross over County Road 24 in Perry County and then head on up towards Heiberger.
Yeah, and this is a snapshot of what's going on. So obviously, if we get confirmation that along 61, that's where we saw that report came in several minutes ago. So we're talking a couple minutes for them to communicate that, and then a couple minutes for them to get to us. So we have to think down the line. Obviously, where it is important, but where it's going is even more important as we're trying to get people prepared so that they are in their tornado safe place before this arrives on their doorstep. Yeah,
the next landmark here is Alabama 14. That's State Route 14 right there that runs out of Marion back up towards Greensboro. I actually drove this stretch of roadway not too long ago. We had a radar roundtable hosted by one of our United States representatives over in Greensboro. So this is rolling West Alabama prairie. Lots of pine trees out here. That's Marion. The Military Institute's down here. This would be right out there along Highway 14 next. Your tornado is right here. It's crossed 61 now. It's right here. It's moving over 14. And then from there, Morgan Springs, Heiberger, and Sprott would be the next communities in line here. And let me just downstream go ahead and say, if you live in Bibb County, Centerville, Brent, go ahead and get into that tornado safe place, especially if you live in a mobile or manufactured home in Bibb County. Go ahead and move now. Don't wait on a tornado warning. You've got a storm producing a tornado on the ground right now moving towards you. Get out ahead of this. Don't wait until it's pouring rain and there's a tornado bearing down on you to try to get out. Go ahead, do it now, right? Again, that's up into Bibb County. Now, Bibb County is in the Birmingham television market. So we will maintain coverage of this all the way across Perry County. Once it is done with Perry County, we will stop and reevaluate and say, okay, what's happening back in Mississippi? What's going on down in Southwest Alabama?
Exactly.
And then we'll either continue coverage or get you back to programming, depending on how we read the situation. But for now, we're staying on because we have a tornado on the ground, apparently, right out here. It's just crossed out of Hale County and is now on the ground in Perry County, moving right up towards Heiberger.
You want to switch it over and look at the debris signature, see if maybe we can get any signs of lofted debris. If obviously we were able to pick up on seeing a visual of a tornado, like Josh has mentioned multiple times, this is probably rain wrapped, but we'd like to just double check here in the Vance Law Firm Storm Track Zone. We have the capability of being able to track potential debris. That is just another element that we can use to potentially confirm a tornado on the ground. And with storms, yeah, it's kind of messy. So there isn't a clear-cut signature of the fact that, yes, without a doubt, this is producing damage on the ground. We need to act like it is, though, because of the fact that it has shown signs of rotation on radar. We now have a visual confirmation of that. And as it moves off towards the north and east, it's going to continue to be, I think, messy in the way that most of our tornadoes are, in the sense that it's rain wrapped. This is not going to be this very beautiful, picturesque tornado that you see in a Hollywood movie that is coming right at you and you get plenty of time to say, okay, let me go get in my safe place. This is going to look just like a wall of rain rushing towards you, and the winds inside are going to be rotating and you won't see it coming if you're waiting for it. That's why you need to be waiting for it in your tornado safe place right now.
Yeah, and obviously, Twister's a movie.
Yeah.
This ain't Twister. You're not going to see it coming. Amanda, real quick, I wanted to point out, I wonder what that is right there. I really, we're in a part of the world out here, the radar coverage in the lowest levels is lousy.
Yeah.
I suspect that, a little reflectivity core there, it could be a descending reflectivity core, or that could potentially be a little hit of tornado debris showing up in the reflectivity fields. We don't know yet. We will need more data to kind of make that.
To confirm that.
But given that we had a sighting of a tornado there, and we just so happen to have this really bright reflectivity, that little purple blob is what I'm talking about right there, pop up right after that. 2 and 2 is not always 4 in our world, but a lot of times it is, and that may be what we're seeing right there.
For sure. We're going to have to watch a couple more scans to see how that works out. A lot of people asking questions on social media. Not only are we live on WSFA, but we're streaming on all of our social platforms, including our First Alert weather app, wanting to know about the tornado watch being extended. A little bit of housekeeping just for those who maybe are not dealing with rain just yet, or you live east and southeast of the capital city. We're talking with the local National Weather Service office, and especially Birmingham. They're saying by about 8 o'clock, they're going to have an update on whether they need to maybe extend or advise their tornado watch. So just a little bit of housekeeping. There could be something down the line for our east and southeast Alabama counties, but we have the luxury, which I think is a great thing, of multiple National Weather Service offices keeping cover and watch over our area. So obviously Birmingham in charge of this warning right now. And in particular, this looks like it's completely out of Hale County now. So this is an exclusively northern Perry County situation. This is actually kind of riding the southern and eastern extent of the polygon. So that doesn't mean places like Brush Creek or Morgan Springs, you shouldn't be in your tornado safe place. You are in a tornado warning, so you need to be there. But that area of concern looks like it's not necessarily moving straight due northeast. It's moving a little bit more northeast, maybe even a little easterly at this time. So I would be prepared if you're in Marion. You might not officially be in that tornado warning, but it might not be a bad idea for you to get in your tornado safe place down the line, even though Sprott's not in the warning. These are all areas of concern. If you have an address that is Marion or north, I think you need to take precaution and get in that tornado safe place right now.
I sort of think it's cycling.
Yeah,
I think
it could be, for
this
sure.
has gotten cut off. And the new circulation is forming on the south side of the polygon is what I think is happening here. Don't be surprised if you see here in a minute perhaps a new polygon that is farther south, but Amanda is right on the money with this. If you live at Marion and Sprott and Adler on the south end of the tornado warning polygon here, you need to be in that safe place, just as a course of least regret, because I think there is a chance that we're seeing this. It's called an occlusion. It's when the original rotation sort of gets pinched off from the supply of warm air. It sort of spins itself out, but then where that happened, you end up usually spinning up some new rotation. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye on there as that comes into Marion within the next little while. Really right about now. It's moving into Marion now. Heavy rain, thunder, lightning, gusty wind, and yes, the potential, I think, for some rotation right over the Marion area. So if this thing were to have occluded and then cycled, you would have a new tornado forming south of the original parent mesocyclone, which may be what we're seeing here. So Marion to Sprott, really anywhere along that 183 corridor headed back towards the Chilton line. Go ahead and be in that tornado safe spot.
So new trim. We've now
trimmed that back a little.
We've taken parts of Perry out where this is now past north and east, but then also Hale. So officially, we're keeping the original tornado warning intact, but obviously the National Weather Service office in Birmingham probably looking at the same thing that we are, trying to decide, do they need to maybe take this tornado polygon and adjust it in the sense where they issue a new one to overlap to kind of help these towns right here. Any place from Panhandle to Osborne to Sprott to Marion. I would say if you live in those communities or places north in Perry County, even if you're not officially in a tornado warning, it might be a great idea just for you to practice that tornado safety.
That's right.
Get into that tornado safe place. It's kind of the sense of like a fire drill. You know, obviously when you do a fire drill, 99% of the time, you might not actually have a fire, but the 1% of the time that you do the drill, you do it well, and there is a fire, you really just saved your life right there. So what we want to do is kind of add that extra layer of protection just from the radar trends we're seeing. I could definitely see that rotation try to maybe reburst right over Marion, if not close to the Sprott community. So we just want to get you guys all the same First Alert heads ups, even though you might not be in the original tornado warning that's been issued.
Right. And on a day like today, look, these storms are going to be volatile. They're going to move very rapidly. We're going to go from there could be a tornado to there's a big tornado on the ground and a few radar scans. Just if you're anywhere near a tornado warning polygon, treat it like you're in it, right? Err on the side of caution. err on the side of getting to that safe place. That's really the whole idea on a day like today. So resetting the stage a little bit here. I'm Josh Johnson. You're joining meteorologist Amanda Curran, Nick Gunner, and Madeline Banks in the back. We are in continuous weather coverage on WSFA 12 News Montgomery and all of the WSFA digital platforms. We're on the air for a tornado warned storm in Perry County, but it's not the only thing we're watching. In fact, you can make the argument, this storm will be up in the Birmingham market pretty soon. For a lot of you watching us in Montgomery, Pike Road, Millbrook, Wetumpka, Lounsboro, Greenville, Camden, this is what we're watching for you. And the issue we're running into here, we are still seeing the storms. We are hoping to see a more linear storm mode, meaning line. They're in a line. Mm-hmm. Storms in lines still produce tornadoes. They're just not quite as good at it. But we don't. We see a supercell here and one here and one here and one here. That's beginning to get a little more linear on that far southern flank. But honestly, I think that's, as these move northeast up into west central and southwest Alabama, I think we will continue to see kind of an increase in activity down here north of Mobile.
Yeah, and this one in particular has me concerned.
Oh, yeah.
One, because obviously the National Weather Service office in Mobile saying, hey, severe thunderstorm, this storm right here, this little supercell, capable of producing damaging wind up to 60 miles an hour. That's straight line damaging wind, not necessarily rotation. Also hail up to an inch. And they've put out this big polygon. This whole environment right here has seen very little in the form of wet weather. And what they have seen are these small little blips on radar that are not severe storms. Mm-hmm. So it's an atmosphere right here that it's probably not very worked over today. There's been a lot of places across central and south Alabama that have stayed dry today. That is going to help these storms when they move into that environment. There's a lot of fuel. We talk about all these different elements in the atmosphere that acts like food for these storms. And if they're hungry, they're going to keep eating and eating and eating and growing and growing and growing. So this has me concerned for the fact that our friends in southwest Alabama, northern Baldwin and Mobile, but then eventually down the line, southern Clark County, even parts of Monroe County. And then if this holds together, continuing to move close to Wilcox County, not necessarily in the immediate next 5 to 10 minutes, but within the next hour or two, this could be knocking on your doorstep and being pretty robust and impactful.
Pretty big storm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll zip back into Perry County for our active tornado warning coverage here. It's for the storm you see here that is still showing some signs of rotation. We had a report of a tornado with this storm as it crossed over New Bern in Hale County just a little while ago. It's now continuing to move past that area. So there you have it. Tornado warning continues just north of downtown Marion. We'll go into the rotation tracker here, see what we see. There it is right there. So I do think it's cycled and occluded, by the way, but the original rotation's somewhere up there. But that's the new couplet beginning to form up a little bit there on the northwest side of Marion. So that's what we have now. Northern Perry County, stay in that tornado safe place. Look, storms moving really fast is a double-edged sword. It's good news and bad news. If you're in Perry County, maybe it's good news. This will not be with you much longer. You're about 15 miles from the Bibb line with this rotation. It's moving northeast at 55 miles an hour. You give this 15, 20 minutes, this is all gone. Now, there are storms behind it.
For sure.
The threat of severe weather will not end in Perry County with this storm leaving, but you'll at least be able to come out of the safe place, come up for air a little bit, and check on the world around you, make sure everything's okay. So elsewhere, if you're watching us across the southern half of Alabama, things are getting stormier now in this wave of storms. Look at that. Yeah, up in the parts of Watauga, Elmore, and Coosa and Chilton. Don't see any rotation with that.
Lots of lightning back here. Some started to pick up here, too.
Thunder, lightning, some gusty wind in that. We will do our due diligence here and just make sure nothing is spinning. It is not even a little. That's great news. So that's where we are with that cluster of storms there. Montgomery, Pike Road, Troy, Andalusia, Greenville, Laverne. Really hasn't rained much even yet today. The storms are a little slow, but this was in the game plan, right? The initial wave of the initial timeline we put together for the city of Montgomery was 4 p.m. through midnight. I still think that's right on the money. It will be towards the back half of that, but that's going to be the timeline on this as it all comes through over the course of the next few hours.
We have some new information from the National Weather Service. So our friends over in Birmingham are saying this is near the Hale-Perry County line. We're getting reports of trees down near Highway 25 and County Road 57. That's 4 miles north of US 80. And we're also seeing Highway 61 in the New Bern community, where we had that sighting from the sheriff's office of that tornado, plus County Road 16 near New Bern. The roads are blocked. The fire department reports, and EMA has better knowledge of that. They're going to pass that on to us in a little bit. So it does look like that was likely a tornado, either on the ground or a tornado funnel that was trying to come out of the cloud deck and maybe wasn't consistently on the ground. It could have been kind of jumping up and down.
Treetop tornado.
Exactly. What we can see from radar coming out of the Birmingham site is very much not looking at ground truth information. It's telling us what's happening up in the atmosphere. So we know there's rotation up in the atmosphere, but we cannot confirm solely looking at radar that, yes, this was for sure on the ground. When we get sightings, when we get trained personnel like sheriff's offices and EMA workers and fire departments who are trained storm spotters to identify these weather features out in the real world, that's one element that we can confirm. And then also we get fire departments and EMA going out and telling us that there's damage that could be consistent with a tornado funnel kind of ebbing and flowing, going through that occlusion process and cycling in and out. So maybe was not on the ground for long, but definitely still impactful.
Just popped. So we've got a new discussion from the Storm Prediction Center, and I was sort of starting down this road, and then we talked a little bit about more of the storms we're seeing back here, which is good. But to fill in the blanks here, the Storm Prediction Center is saying there's a lot of computer data that suggests that parts of East Alabama will see an uptick in the severe weather threat from 7 to 9 and 10 p.m. So 7 to 10 p.m. Because the storms will be moving into a moisture-rich environment. So East Alabama, a new tornado watch will be issued. That's the gist of this. They say there's a 95% chance of a new tornado watch.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
We know that. Yeah, that's about as good as it gets. There will be a new tornado watch issued, I think, within the next 20 minutes to include the rest of our area. It'll include the rest of Alabama. So we will see if it is a particularly dangerous situation, tornado watch or not. My suspicion is it probably will be, but we'll see. Either way, take it seriously. Either way, all of the available data suggests as we go through the next 2, 3, 4 hours, this is going to uptick. We're going to see a swing up in intensity with this whole thing. Yeah, as these storms, Amanda's drawing kind of northeasterly trajectories on all of this. Big supercell down there northwest of Mobile, additional ones west of Grove Hill. That will fill on in as we go over the course of the next few hours. Let's check in with meteorologist Nick Gunner now. We are in the Vance Law Firm Storm Track Zone. He is in the Nick Zone. That's what we're calling it, I think, right? We'll come up with something better than that. But Nick, what are you seeing over there?
Well, I wanted to walk through what we're expecting for the rest of the night. You talked about that they're eventually going to issue that tornado watch for the remainder of our counties that we cover here in Central and South Alabama. So let's go first alert by hour. So when we could see those storms that are currently ongoing in portions of West Alabama as they make their way into the heart of the river region, central parts of Alabama, and eventually off toward the east. Let's go ahead and go forward in time, stopping this at 10 o'clock tonight. We're starting to see those clusters of showers and storms that's over here, that's near Demopolis, up toward Marion and Thomasville, make its way closer to the Montgomery area, the Interstate 65 corridor, down toward Evergreen and Greenville. Then it will eventually shift off toward the east and move east of I-65, making its way closer to Alex City, Tuskegee, Union Springs, down toward Troy. And the timing on this is close to midnight. So this is going to be an overnight event. As we head toward the early morning hours on Sunday, we start to see these clusters of showers and storms make their way toward the Wiregrass, down toward Dothan, Eufaula, and eventually over into the state of Georgia. And then as we move through the morning hours tomorrow, we start to see a lot calmer conditions, and we will expect we'll continue to stay on the calmer side of the scale as we roll into the morning tomorrow through the rest of our Sunday, and calmer weather towards St. Patrick's Day on Monday. So that's what we're watching now when it comes to our hour by hour first alert forecast. But right now, the reason why we're on WSFA 12 News is because of that tornado warning that is currently ongoing in portions of Perry County. We're in constant communication with the National Weather Service, giving us more information of what they plan on doing. Right now, they are talking about issuing issuing a downstream warning for this. That would include portions of Bibb County, and they did in fact do that as they continue to see some signs of rotation within this storm cell itself. So I'm going to turn off the lightning. We'll go back up to our tornado warned storm that we're currently watching, which does include northern portions of Perry County and now includes portions of Bibb County right now as it's moving toward Brent and then eventually up toward Highway 82 there as it darts across the center part of the county there near Centerville itself. So let's go ahead and put this storm, let's put the rotation detector on right now. And they're still seeing it's very messy, a lot more messy than what it was as it was down in portions of Marengo County. Now as it pushes over northern Perry, we're still seeing some signs of broad rotation, but nevertheless stay in your tornado safety spot if you're in any part of northern portions of Perry County and now portions of Bibb County, which includes Brent, portions of Highway 82 south of Brent, heading down toward Chilton County and Maplesville. Maplesville, you're not in this tornado warning. This is exclusively a Bibb County tornado warning along with a Perry County one, as that's the direction, more of a northeasterly direction of this storm, and it's racing off the movement of these storm cells themselves 55 miles per hour. So I want to go ahead and put another storm track on this where we're seeing some of that broad rotation as it's moving north and toward the east. Here's some of the timing that we could see this. Of course, Heiberger really close to you right now, 7:20. The time now is 7:16. Brent about 7:40 if this holds together and stays at its current pace. Montevallo, that's actually in Shelby County. That would be about 8:10 p.m. Again, if this holds together, and of course the National Weather Service is still showcasing that it is showing signs of rotation right now. Now I want to clear this off. I want to kind of reset here just real quickly and show you what's ongoing downstream of this. I know we've been talking about that a lot because we're continuing to see severe thunderstorm warnings in Mobile, Washington, Baldwin County, down in south, I guess the coastal counties of Alabama, as you could say. So I want to zoom things out real quickly. We'll go a little bit further south and you can see very large severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing. This includes portions of Washington, I guess far southern Clark County, and then portions of far northern Mobile County. These are severe thunderstorm warnings, but these could pack a punch as well. Could see damaging wind gusts within these storms. We could also see some very large hail in some of these storm cores, heavy rain, and these storms are lightning producers. They are electric as they continue to push their way across the state of Alabama. And just a quick reset, we're continuing to watch the big picture here. And you can see places like Selma, you're getting inundated with rain right now. Camden getting inundated with rain. Places over there in West Alabama, Choctaw County. We're even seeing some rain now in Coosa County, northern portions of Elmore County, and making its way towards Sylacauga. That's in Talladega County and Shelby County, points northward there near Columbiana. And you can see this is just rain right now. This is sub-severe. So you may be getting some lightning, lots of lightning, might be getting some heavy rain from north of Wetumpka up toward Rockford and places like Sylacauga, but this is sub-severe. The severe storms that we're continuing to watch is mainly over here in West Alabama, and that's why the National Weather Service has issued those tornado warnings. Now Perry and Bibb counties here in West Alabama still showing signs of that rotation here that we're continuing to watch. I want to look at the velocity product one more time. And you can see the broad rotation. What we're looking for really is the reds and the greens. The red is away from the radar site, which is up in Shelby County in Calera, and then the green is toward the radar site, and that is the rotation that we're watching that is heading off toward Brent. Looks like it would be just south of Brent, but these could move north or south. National Weather Service in Birmingham doing a really good job of trimming off these tornado warnings and adjusting them with the movement of these storm cells themselves. So we're just about to get this storm cell out of Perry County and into Bibb County as it makes its way toward U.S. Highway 82. Many people travel up to Tuscaloosa from Montgomery. That's the road that you travel, and it'll be very close to where the 4-lane widens up there in Brent and Centerville. You know, it's a 2-lane road through portions of Autaga and portions of Chilton, and then eventually goes to a 4-lane road as it moves toward Brent and then points upward toward Tuscaloosa itself. That's where it's going to move toward over the next couple of minutes. So if you have friends or family right now that live in Brent, Centerville, or north of Maplesville there along U.S. Highway 82. Go ahead and give them a phone call. Let them know that this storm cell is heading in their direction and they need to get into their safe spot right now. So that's the one tornado warning that we have right now, at least in our coverage area. A couple of severe thunderstorm warnings just to our south there in portions of Washington. Looks like far southern Clark and northern portions of Mobile counties. So a very active, ongoing situation right now in West Alabama as these storm cells continue to push off toward the east. So we're watching for that tornado watch to be expanded here very soon for the remainder of our area, which includes most of the Wiregrass over toward portions of East Alabama toward the Georgia state line, as this atmosphere is still very primed to be tapped into for these showers and storms and could form rotation within the storms and tornadoes at any moment. So definitely something we're watching closely in West Alabama as it marches east. Amanda and Josh.
Hey, thanks so much, Nick. Yeah, these storms are trending up.
They are.
It would seem. A lot of extra intensity here within the last 30, 45 minutes or so. We will see if that continues to sort of be the case. Watching back into Marengo here, too. I want to keep an eye on that. Let me slide you down a little bit, back down here to Marengo County. First off, you'll notice a lot of extremely bright green. A lot of that is extremely powerful wind way above the ground. Remember, the radar beam, by the time it makes it out here into Marengo, is 5, 6, 7, 8,000 feet above the ground. So we're sampling some high winds out here, but still back into Marengo, the storm shape a little bit has us on our toes. So a couple of little areas right there near Old Spring Hill in the north end of Linden. We're watching that, and then a couple of other cells back down into Clark County. This will all keep moving towards the northeast. So as I've said a few times now, this is not the end of this. This is not the middle of this. This is the beginning of this, and I think we're going to see more of this as we go through the next several hours. And storm down in northern Mobile County really beginning to strengthen, and that's the one Amanda and I were talking to you about earlier. That one really has our attention for a number of reasons.
Do you know where the National Weather Service office in Mobile is located?
It's at the airport.
It's right at the airport?
Yep, in West Mobile, right out there.
Okay, they just told us over chat that they measured a 54-mile-per-hour wind gust.
And that's away from any storm.
And that's not because of a storm. So I thought that was pretty relevant in the fact that a lot of this area right here, even before this, you're getting that southerly, even southeasterly flow kind of wrapping and changing direction. That's going to help fuel even more of this activity as it heads into our southern counties later on tonight.
I was a student volunteer at the Weather Service in Mobile.
Very nice.
2004, and the radar right there actually sits at the airport, as does the Weather Service office.
Very
right
cool.
there. So, yeah, so that's pretty wild. By the way, we had reports earlier of along the Mobile Bay Causeway, the wind was whipping so hard it was blowing waves of water up over US 98.
Wow.
Over Mobile Bay, hitting the cars with water. So this is a wild storm system, right? There's a lot of different angles of this. We had a big dust storm in Oklahoma from it. Now we're having tornadoes in the deep south. So this storm has our attention right here. This one's still discrete, not part of a line quite yet. Not much competition out in front of it. And as it moves north, we suspect it's probably going to begin to rotate as we get it up into Washington, Clark, and Monroe counties. So we're watching that storm very carefully because the way it is moving and pointed, that one could get up into parts of Wilcox, Dallas, Lowndes, Montgomery, Autauga downstream. I'm talking 9:30. Maybe even a little earlier than that. So that's what's kind of coming down the pipe here. If you live in Prattville, if you live in Pike Road in Montgomery, it hasn't rained a drop yet. It's coming, I promise. We're watching it all unfold back to the west. So we are on the air, though, for an active tornado warning over here in Perry County. We'll take you in there live, show you the rotation. You can see it here. Yep, pretty clear.
Kind of right straddling on the Bibb Perry County line right now.
I was noticing, too, in the reflectivity data, you can almost see, like, when you animate it particularly, you can see sort of just the whole thing is rotating, and you're almost getting right there west of Bryn, almost like that comma head shape there. I wonder, a lot of times you get these little mesolows that form that are caused by these giant supercells that can start to pull the wind field around more to the southeast. So I think what we would have to watch would be some of these storms out here. And really, you know, if that's forming a little mesolow right there, you could make the argument that you'll start to see more southeasterly wind kind of across a big part of our area. So we'll watch the surface observations to see if we see signs of that. So far, a lot of the wind had been pretty much due south, say at Montgomery Airport and places like that. We'll watch those surface obs to see if we start to see a wind shift more towards the southeast in the vicinity of that surface. It looks like we do a little bit there.
Yeah, places like Dothan, Enterprise, Troy, even coming up
Montgomery, not due
into
south
Montgomery.
anymore.
Yeah, Selma, more of a due south in places like Greenville. Evergreen's trying to tilt a little bit more southeasterly. So a lot of them are either southern or southeasterly too, which that is going to help fuel that rotation as we go throughout the rest of the evening.
This guy comes up into
yes,
that.
this comes up into that. That
problems.
southeasterly wind starts to help with the rotation, that column of air. So you get shifting winds with height. That's what's going to cause that rotation to happen in the atmosphere.
So as that wraps up, I think you'll also need to watch down here. You know, if we're seeing a southeasterly acceleration in there, you could start to see a little bit more of this will probably begin to intensify as it comes up into Dallas too. So look, this is one of these nights where we have all four of us here for a reason. We need all the eyes we can get, because there are so many storms around. This is interesting. From the National Weather Service, they are preparing for a possible need to shelter at the office because of the storm coming out of Perry. The way that one's moving, the National Weather Service is right up here in Calera. The way that's moving, that's going to head right towards their office or very close to it. So now the good news there is they're really good at this. They will have their sister office over near Atlanta in Peachtree City will take over issuing warnings if they were to have to shelter. So just a little inside baseball to kind of walk you through what's happening here. So multiple storms of concern, only one prompting a tornado warning. That possible tornado is still up here in northern Perry County. It is very close to being in Bibb County. So we will go in and track it, give it a little police escort out of the county here. Possible rotation there. You probably make a little argument there too. It is difficult to see, quite frankly. Part of that's because it's wrapped in rain. Part of that is because it is probably relatively shallow rotation too.
Nope, that's not what I wanted. I was going to see how long is that Perry portion of the warning in effect for. There we go, until 7:30. So not only are we coming up on the tail end of that warning anyways, where it would expire, but obviously as this kind of escorts its way out of Perry County, that would eliminate the threat and make it exclusively a Bibb County situation. In that sense, it's still impactful, moving closer to some other parts of Alabama, but when it comes to northern Perry and southern Bibb, that's kind of the cutoff for the WSFA and Birmingham television market. We're not going anywhere, though. Like Josh has mentioned several times, this is not the end. This is just the beginning of what is likely going to be an active night. And even though you've probably had a mostly quiet afternoon, early morning, it's been warm, it's been windy, we have more showers that, in addition to what we've already seen, will continue to start to show signs of not only gusty, damaging wind, hail potential, but also rotation as well. And I think that's kind of the biggest impact. Sometimes we have these severe weather events and we go, oh, you know, tornado risk is very low, but damaging wind risk is very, very high. I think all of the modes of severe weather on the table tonight. We could have localized heavy rain cause flooding. We could have these big, strong, powerful storms produce large hail. We could have damaging wind gusts like we've seen in some of these severe thunderstorm warnings. And then on top of that, rotation is also an element in the forecast that I think will be readily available for a lot of these towns that have yet to see any wet weather just yet.
Right. So what we will do, we'll stay with this a little past 7:30 because, quite frankly, I don't trust any of these storms down here. I think we'll probably see some rotation and a tornado warning pop up there pretty soon. So we'll maintain coverage for a little while longer. It looks like the Storm Prediction Center coordination call is now underway. What happens is there's a group at the National Weather Service called the Storm Prediction Center. They are the best thunderstorm forecasters in the world. They're out in Norman, Oklahoma. They will call the local National Weather Service offices and have a big sort of coordination call and figure out details about a new tornado watch. That process is underway right now in phone lines across the Deep South in Peachtree City, Georgia, and Mobile, Alabama, and Birmingham, Alabama, and in Norman, Oklahoma. That is happening now to discuss the new tornado watch, which will be issued east of the existing watch. So that will come out, we think, in the next 10 to 15 minutes. That won't be too much longer. So storms filling in now into West Alabama, possible tornado coming along the Perry, Bibb County line. That's going to head up into Bibb and then eventually far northwestern Chilton and on up into Shelby County. So Jemison and Thorsby northward, back up towards Montevallo, Calera, maybe even Alabaster, depending on exactly how that tracks. May go a little south of there, but it'll be a close call. So we will keep watching those storms, and we will also keep a close eye on what's happening back down to the southwest, because for a lot of you in central Alabama, this is what's going to end up affecting us later, or these storms that are getting going down here. They are going to move towards the northwest and or northeast rather, and fill in and become more severe as we go through the next 1, 2, 3 hours. So that's the lay of the land. It's now 7:29 and 30 seconds. We're almost done with this tornado warning in Perry County. The Perry County part of that expires momentarily, literally momentarily, in about 30 seconds. So we'll pop back up in here and make sure we're not missing anything with it. But in Perry County, we will soon be able to give you a clear from this specific storm. It's not at all clear, though. There are still additional storms behind this one that have the potential to rotate and cause problems. But from this specific storm, it's essentially now in Bibb County. So tornado warning continues for Bibb until 8 o'clock. And then we've got more storms back down to the south, some of which have started to show a little more intensification, started to show a little bit of a sign of rotation in there. I'll clear that warning off since that'll disappear momentarily. Back down as you head back towards the Selma area, especially. We're starting to see some storms fill in there. Back into Wilcox, those could start to rotate any minute now. Same thing in Marengo, and then you've got the big supercell there down in Washington County that bears watching too. Yeah,
and a little bit of housekeeping too. A lot of West Alabama has been under that tornado watch. That's going to expire at 8 p.m. So there is a very high likelihood that not only do a lot of eastern counties and southeastern counties that have not been in a tornado watch today get issued a new tornado watch, but also I think that there are plenty of counties that have been under this PDS tornado watch that have not been impacted at all. They will, in addition, get a new tornado watch. So I don't want you to get confused in the fact, say you live in Autauga County, Lowndes County, Montgomery County, Elmore County, all of those spots were issued under a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch until 8 p.m. There is likely going to be a new alert that comes from your First Alert weather app, from your NOAA weather radio, that a new tornado watch is being issued that is going to not only extend it east, but likely still include a lot of these counties that have not been impacted in a major way just yet, but in the next hour or so could really start to see their intensity ramp up. So I don't want that to get lost in the fact that, okay, my tornado watch for today ended at 8. You could be receiving a new tornado watch within the next 30 minutes as they make that coordination call and decide which counties can we clip out. Can we clip out any counties just yet? I think for some of you in West Alabama, it is a almost over but not completely done situation. I think we probably still have another 2 to 3 hours until we could really start trimming some of these western counties out, and we're just kind of beginning that for east and southeast Alabama. But for those who live in the middle, you've been in that tornado watch so far for several hours today. Haven't seen a whole lot in the form of storms, so I don't want you to be caught off guard. If you think that 8 p.m. is your cutoff time and you think you're good, that's not going to be the case. It's likely going to be an additional new tornado watch that extends east, but also still keeps a lot of these core counties that have been in the new watch. So just a little confusion there. I don't want you to think from one watch to another. That could be something that pops up on your phone. That would be a new watch in addition to the one that's already been put in effect for the state. And that one, you hate to guess, that one will probably run until 4 in the morning, something like that. Yeah, and that's the other reason for the coordination call. Obviously, you get to the Alabama-Georgia line, we have time zone differences. We have to decide how far east are we going to go. Obviously, with the last one, they decided Autauga, Elmore, Montgomery, Lowndes, but they left out the rest. Well, some of these counties haven't really seen the worst of it yet, so you have to think of the fact this is a very large area. It might be over in Montgomery County at midnight. It might not be over in far eastern portions of the state near the Georgia line until 3 or 4 in the morning. So that is where they kind of have to broad brush and say, we can't just say Montgomery County's tornado watch ends here, but then Macon County's tornado watch ends here and vice versa. So that's kind of where the broad brush comes in. We can start to eliminate our friends by 8, 9, 10 o'clock in West Alabama, but obviously we clearly haven't seen a whole lot of activity just yet. We are anticipating some, so that is going to be the reason for an additional tornado watch. So that's the The cons of covering such a large area,
right.
Obviously it's not impacting everyone at the exact same time. A lot of people have been sitting, waiting, watching to see what happens. I know that can ramp up anxiety in a way, but new tornado watch likely going to be coming down the line within the next 20 to 25 minutes before the 8 o'clock hour begins. But that does not mean we're eliminating our threat in West Alabama just yet.
No, in fact, I think it's, I'm starting to see a little more rotation down to Wilcox, north of Camden. Those storms beginning to sort of get that shape, that little hook shape down there, a little hook echo. So see it right there. So this would be, I think, a corridor, especially if that is indeed a little mesolow forming up there. That would back those surface winds around and feed more into that. So my suspicion is we will see additional tornado warnings within the next 20 to 30 minutes that include parts of Dallas, Wilcox, maybe Autauga, maybe Chilton, maybe Perry. We don't know that yet. There's no need, if you live in those counties that I just mentioned, if you're not under an active tornado warning, you don't need to move yet. You just need to be aware that you may need to move quickly, right, when that tornado warning gets issued. So that's where we are now, starting to see a little more rotation here along the Wilcox-Dallas County line. Then we have the good news is here, there are no more active tornado warnings in the WSFA area specifically. Yeah, right.
I'm not sure what this material
For now,
is, but we knock on it.
Knock on something that is probably not, didn't come from one tree. So
they're saying that they are going to issue a new warning east of the current warning.
That might clip Chilton, too.
So that might clip our friends in northern and western Chilton. So just heads up, if you live in northwestern portions of Chilton County, looks like they're going to, the watch is going to go the rest of the way into Georgia as well. So those are two new things that we've learned from the National Weather Service office. And the best part is we can see when the National Weather Service office is typing. So they're currently sending us a message as well.
We're about to get a third thing.
So this is a system that maybe is not moving northeast. It moves a little bit northeast, and that could start to clip some of our friends. Not only, there we go. Okay, so issuing a new tornado warning. That's going to be a kind of overlap to the one that currently exists in Bibb County. So that includes the southeastern corner of Bibb and now includes that northern and western slice. If you cut the county from about Maplesville up to Jemison, that is where our main concern is. Clanton not included in this tornado warning, but definitely not a bad idea to kind of stay on your toes as we watch things throughout the next couple of scans. But this looks like it's making a little bit more of an east-northeast progression versus just a straight northeast. Right,
and I think the warning pretty well bears that out,
the
fact that they did it that way. So let's also, that is, when meteorologists study the phrase messy storm mode, that could be the image they used to teach right there.
Yeah.
That just looks like someone took some pickles and ketchup and put it in a blender.
Yep.
It's just all over the place. So this is what's called a multicellular storm, kind of this huge just mess with an embedded supercell in the middle of it, by the way. So that's really, it is a mess. And from a radar standpoint, it makes it pretty difficult to nail down the precise rotation sometimes. This one, we've been pretty able to see.
They are talking about the new watch. Sorry to interrupt you,
but
they are saying that they will not be issuing a PDS, or a particularly dangerous situation watch. So what that means is they still anticipate a new tornado watch to come into effect, but when they take the tag of PDS, or particularly dangerous situation, out, that means that yes, storms are anticipated, but maybe not every single storm will be violent, long-tracked supercell tornadoes.
Right.
We have to be ready for that to still be a possibility, but that also means that we could be throwing in EF0s, EF1s, EF2s.
Right.
The confidence of them all being EF3 or above is not completely eliminated, but it is downplayed a little bit. Sure. And I think it's more of a broad brush of the fact that that new watch that's going to be issued is going to be very large. So do you want to give you that heads up as we wait for the official launching of that watch? And once it finally drops, we'll make sure to tell you which counties are included. But just a little bit of behind the scenes, that will not be a PDS watch. What we are currently in right now is a PDS watch. So that just gives you a little bit of kind of the housekeeping behind the fact of what we're watching.
Huge burst of wind there.
Yeah.
Weather Service talked about it, and you can see it here on the radar, but really ramping up there in Chilton, the way it's surging out into Chilton and southeastern Bibb County. So even if there's no tornado there, there's likely tree damage occurring due to strong wind gust. And right there, that's where you're probably about to see a tornado drop. Right out there. So that's in southern Bibb. So that would be southeast of Brent and Centerville. If you go to the University of Alabama on occasion, heading up Highway 82, you've driven through this part of the world. There's Maplesville right down there. There's Jim's Pit Barbecue is here. There's a Subway right there. You head straight on up 82 into Bibb County before you get to Brent and Centerville. That's where this tornado is about to cross, most likely. So no confirmation it's on the ground yet, but the way the winds are surging, I would suggest to you, even if there's no tornado, there's probably some damage occurring anyway. So Coosa County, Amanda, they're talking about that.
Yeah, let's look at this cell over in Coosa County. Obviously, when there's an active tornado warning, we keep our eyes on that, but we also have to keep an eye down the line of another part. Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Because they said near Goodwater. So
they said, yeah, Goodwater and Coosa.
Yeah, so that's it up there. So they're talking about that part right there, kind of where Coosa, Talladega, and Clay come together. So that's almost out of our area, but still, if you live in Clay County, far northern Coosa, stay on your toes. This is the type of situation where tornadoes can spin up really quickly. So strong damaging wind coming into Bibb and Chilton. Additional rotation beginning to tighten up a little bit back down into parts of Dallas. Not enough to make me think there's a tornado yet, but enough to make me watch it. And then you've got the supercell down in the Mobile area, which so far has not really rotated very much. It's a large, intense storm, but not, I know, right? I'm talking us right into trouble here. But so that's where we are right now. Watching that storm, a little suspicious signature there in Coosa. A little rotation starting with this back down into southern Dallas. Your active tornado warning is for Chilton and Bibb. So there you have that. So let's go over to meteorologist Nick Gunner now. He is joining us with more analysis. Nick, walk us through what you're seeing both with this storm and then that new tornado watch coming any minute now.
Yeah, the one thing I'm noticing, and you mentioned this earlier, Josh and Amanda, just very messy to see a lot of anything when it comes to these storm cells. There's a lot of rain, so these are rain wraps tornadoes that could be producing up there in portions of Bibb and northern Chilton County. And there's a lot of small circulations that are trying to form within these storm cells themselves, and they're starting to work their way into this atmosphere that hasn't really seen much, not a lot going on here in this part of Alabama, and it's starting to tap into that. So definitely something we're watching to see how they develop over the next several scans. Still watching those two tornado warnings, one in Chilton, one in Bibb, that's currently ongoing there. And that's in northern Chilton, does not include Clanton, but places like Jemison, Interstate 65, just south of Calera, over toward Brent along Highway 82. And it's very messy. I keep looking at the rotation detector here, and you can kind of see where it's a lot of gusting winds, but no defined circulation that we're currently watching within the storm cell itself as it moves closer to portions of northern Chilton, and eventually downstream of that would be in southern portions of Shelby County. I know a lot of people travel up and down I-65 heading northward to Birmingham. That's the general direction where it's going there, south of Calera, the QT exit there with the Walmart and stuff. I think that's what 238's Alabaster, 228 would be the next one down, 231, that area along the interstate, and then eventually the northern portions of Clanton, of Chilton, north of Clanton near Mineral Springs. Something else we're watching too, the National Weather Service in Mobile has been watching these clusters of showers and storms that's ongoing south of southern portions of Clark County and portions of, I guess you could say, eastern Washington County. No circulation within them, but they are talking about the heavy rain, the hail potential, and the gusting wind. So that's why they have that severe thunderstorm warning for portions of McIntosh right now in that portion of, I guess that'd be Washington County. The rest of our area, we are seeing some heavier downpours that's ongoing, making its way towards Selma right now, just north of Camden. We're watching these storm cells very closely as they're going into that volatile atmosphere as it makes its way off toward the east. And we're seeing some heavy rain in portions of Marengo County, south of Linden, over towards Sweetwater. Something else where we're taking note and something else we're watching, not only the gusting wind potential, but the lightning. There's just tons and tons of lightning within these storm cells. Just in this image alone, we can pinpoint the lightning within this storm itself, and we're seeing just over 500 lightning strikes, almost 600. So this is an electric storm cell, electric storm itself that's tapping into these rotating winds, the gusting winds that we've been contending with, the warm, moist air with those temperatures soaring today into the 80s. And eventually we're going to see that move into that area that has been untouched throughout the day today in East Alabama and down toward the Wiregrass in South Alabama. So we'll have to see how these storms develop and what happens with them as they continue to working their way off into that unstable environment in that part of Alabama. So let's clear off the lightning again. We'll go ahead and reset the stage, and I'll show you the big picture of what's going on. So here's what's going on here in our part of Alabama. Showers and storms in portions of west and northwest Alabama, northwest of our viewing area that stretches all the way down toward the coastal counties of Alabama. And I want to do a real quick timing of that. People want to know, when could we see this storm cell move in my direction? Here's the latest first alert by hour. So what's going on right now off toward our west is going to continue marching off toward the east, toward the heart of the river region, down toward South Alabama, toward the Florida border as we head toward 10 o'clock tonight. And then we'll continue to see these showers and storms push off into East Alabama. Time now is midnight on first alert by hour, making their way closer to Tuskegee, Troy, Andalusia, and then eventually as they move toward the state of Georgia into the early morning hours on our Sunday. This is 2 a.m. now. It'll push over into Georgia. We'll start to see things clear out, dry out, much calmer weather's in store for us through the remainder of our Sunday. We just got to get through this first alert weather day first. And then we'll see calmer conditions return as we head toward our day tomorrow. So let's send it back over to Josh and Amanda. New information, see anything new over there in the Vance Law Firm Storm Track Zone?
Yeah, got a tornado on the ground now in Bibb. This has just touched down now east of Brent, just west of the Chilton line. So it's right out here. This is going to clip the far northwestern tip of Chilton County. I'm talking northwest of Jemison, northwest of Thorsby. The blue line here is Interstate 65. This line is the divider between Chilton County on the right, Bibb County on the left. Your tornado is right out there on the east side of Brent. We'll go into the Birmingham radar there and see what we see there. There it is.
Yep.
Very clear signature. There's your tornado. We're actually able to really see that one very well. Amazing what you can see when you're close to the radar, by the way. But just west of Bibb Mill, that's your tornado on the ground right there.
Super small. That's a super tight couplet right there.
Sure is. Let's look at that. There you see that little yellow pop right there is what they're seeing there. So a tornado on the ground now in eastern Bibb County. This would be east of Centerville, east of Brent, just west of the Chilton line. This is going to move northeast and clip the northwestern corner of Chilton County. So up here around Manuka, there's an RV park up there. Jemison to Manuka and then into southern Shelby County. There you see look at that. Yeah, now it's very clear debris signature there. West of Bibb Mill, south of Thomasville, heading towards Oakley. So that's again in Bibb County, heading up through Chilton and southern Shelby County. Brand new tornado on the ground. All right, a new tornado watch is coming until 3 o'clock in the morning. Technically not a PDS watch, but they are still going to have wording in it of the potential for a strong to intense tornado. So this transitions into, I think we're going to see an uptick in tornado development. Because of the messy storm mode, though, it may not be one of these where we're seeing EF4s on the ground for 100 miles. It may be more where we're seeing EF2s and 3s on the ground for 15 or 20 miles. Does it matter? I would say no, but that's your deal. We'll wait and see about the watch. We're still, the Weather Service telling us they're in the process of kind of working through some hiccups on all of that. But they're talking all of that through. We'll get the new tornado watch from them momentarily. Until then, though, just know there's a tornado on the ground in Bibb County. If you have family or friends who live in Bibb or northwestern Chilton County or even southern Shelby, if you have family members who attend the University of Montevallo and they're there on campus, they need to be sheltering immediately because this storm is going to move northeast. I think it will go a little south of Montevallo, but it will be a close ride, close shave there. So that'll head on up towards Dry Valley and then eventually Calera and Alabaster downstream. There's no formal tornado warning yet for Shelby, but there is?
There is now. It's just been issued.
Okay, yeah.
So confirmed for Bibb, but
and
the
then
extension
they
into
extended
Shelby.
it up into Shelby.
Yes.
So you're already under a tornado warning if you have family or friends. Again, Calera, Alabaster, Columbiana.
Big shift. That was quick. That same area of circulation that you can see how quickly in just one scan how it jumps. So this is moving very quickly.
It is. very wound up. Like
wow, that was
said,
very quick.
Very tight velocity couplet there. Right over Thomas Mill and Oakley. So tornado on the ground in Bibb County. This is going to cross the Bibb-Chilton line momentarily. Now, let's go to the broader view here and just sort of reset everything. New tornado watch coming. We don't know when, but it will happen. That will go until 3 o'clock in the morning and will include essentially the rest of Alabama. They may leave out some counties in the far west, but everywhere along that line and east will be in a new tornado watch. I suspect that will include every county in our area. Looks like they've just popped it.
Yep, just happened.
Pardon me. I picked a tough week to get sick. So new tornado watch out until 3 o'clock in the morning.
So the nomenclature is going to be a little interesting because we're going from a PDS watch for a lot of counties. There are going to be several counties that are now in a new tornado watch that were already in a tornado watch that is no longer a PDS. And then also you have to think about the fact when we coordinate, we have Birmingham covering these counties, we have Mobile covering these counties, we have Tallahassee covering these counties. So there is a handoff between offices, so they all have to be in agreement what time, what areas, who's into what.
Time
zones. That's, yeah, time zones, all those different things play a role.
Herding cats, the phrase herding cats.
It's in one.
There you go. So these counties will be in it. That just Tallahassee hasn't hit send quite yet, I guess.
Yeah.
It may just take an extra minute. You see Peachtree City's county fill in there. This includes every county in our area. It's a brand new tornado watch. It runs through 3 o'clock in the morning. In the watch, they continue to mention the chance of strong to intense tornadoes. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be a scenario now where we are tracking quite a bit of severe weather. There will be, in my suspicion, multiple tornadoes, and a few of them could still be strong tornadoes. New day one outlook is a moderate risk.
So they've taken the high off the table.
So the level 5 risk has gone to 4, which honestly, look, the storms are now leaving where the level 5 risk was in the first place. So I don't know that anything has really necessarily changed for the good or the better, or good or the worse. I think it's just sort of a continuation of what this was before, where the tornado threat was maximized in that level 5 risk and is now for about another hour or so. There you go.
Just popped.
So there's your new tornado watch. Every county in our area through 3 a.m. Now, Marengo County, this will not last till 3 a.m. What they do, they issue it out until 3 o'clock in the morning, and then they start kind of just trimming away counties on the western side of it as soon as the storms depart. I think by 9:30 at the latest, Marengo County, you're probably in the clear. And then Dallas and Perry and Wilcoxon will work it west to east throughout the rest of the night. So tornado warning for Shelby, tornado warning for Clay, Talladega, Cleburne, and Calhoun counties. That's all up in North Alabama.
So they're going down the line to get ready. One for this area, obviously concerned, but then another area of rotation separate from this Bibb County one that is confirmed on the ground. And they also are going confirmed for Shelby. I know, obviously, for the fact that we've talked about the National Weather Service office in Birmingham is probably going to have to shelter in place. So they will be taking care of that. But then obviously
Peachtree City issued that warning.
Yes, for them.
That. Yeah. So Birmingham Weather Service office now in shelter.
Yep, sheltering in
place.
How
about that? So now that tornado warning came from the National Weather Service in Peachtree City, Georgia. They back each other up. That's a good thing, right? So
yes.
Tornado warnings in kind of north central Alabama. These storms are still behaving. Let's hope that continues. Back down to the southwest. What a mess. We'll go back in.
Definitely messy.
Messy, messy, messy.
Dallas looks like it's behaving.
So far, so good.
Which is good.
So there's your tornado.
Bibb County not. That's
Bibb
inching
County,
close
behaving.
to the Shelby, Chilton, Bibb County, where all three of those come together.
So there you go. All right, it's 7:52. What we're going to do is carry this until 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, if we don't have any additional tornado warnings in the WSFA service area, we're going to send our WSFA viewers back to regularly scheduled programming, because northern Chilton County is in the Birmingham market, Bibb County, Birmingham market. We don't have any active life-threatening weather at this precise moment. Now, that could change literally at any second, and understand if we do send you back to programming, we're not going anywhere. We're here for the duration. We're here all night, but we'll carry this for another 5 to 7 minutes and kind of get this on out of Bibb up into Shelby and then toss you back to programming, assuming nothing happens between now and then that changes our mind. So that's the way we'll kind of play this. Let's take you down into South Alabama. So again, for a lot of you watching this down here, Montgomery, Pike Road, that area, not much has happened yet, but there's still trouble lurking back here to the southwest. We still have some pretty intense cells, and there's more wind shear up here. So these storms are not tornadic right now. They're not rotating right now, but my suspicion is as they move up into more of central Alabama, they get into a little more wind shear. You start to see a little more rotation. You start to see some more tornadoes start to develop here. So this is, again, we're in the beginning of this, not the end of this. What we will be rooting for and watching, messy storm mode. Right? Like what we have in Perry and Bibb and Chilton right now, it's very messy. That means the storms end up kind of competing with each other. That's good for us. So we hope as these move northeast, we would want to see more of that happen, where you get these sort of messy blobs instead of these sort of discrete storms that we can circle pretty easily on a map. That's interesting down there, too. Pretty interesting storm shape right there. That's just north of Gulfport, Mississippi. Why do you care? Because the way these storms are moving, that's the one that's going to end up right here, coming right on through parts of our area. So we're watching. We don't spend a lot of time tracking storms along the Mississippi Gulf Coast, but as fast as these storms are moving and the trajectory they're moving on, these are the storms that are going to end up dropping raindrops and hopefully nothing else on us in central Alabama downstream. So there you go. Tornado warning continues. Bibb and Chilton and Shelby. Everything right now is north of us, and that was I had a question on one of the live streams we did. You know, if we're rooting for something to happen that can make this less bad for us, what would that thing be? And that was my answer was, well, maybe it'll go north of us. And early it is, but we've still got a lot of real estate and a lot of storms to go through before we can really say that that's like actually what happened. I'll answer that question tomorrow. How about that? I'll tell you tomorrow exactly how that played out. All right, now, 7:55. Let's check in with Nick again real quick. Nick's going to walk us through what he's seeing with the storms up there in the Shelby County area on the south end of Birmingham. And then when he tosses back, we'll head back to programming unless we see something that catches our attention. Nick, what you got?
Yeah, just a little vested interest in Shelby County. My parents live near Calera and Alabaster, so I was just texting them to make sure they get it in their safe place because they're not too far away from the National Weather Service and this radar site here that's just near Calera in Shelby County. Latest look at that storm. Of course, Peachtree City is the one issuing those warnings right now because the National Weather Service in Birmingham, which is right near that radar site near the Shelby County Airport, is taking shelter for this storm that's coming into northern Chilton County and making its way into portions of Shelby County. I know that's outside of our viewing area, but a lot of people may have friends or family right now in that part of Birmingham, the Birmingham metro. There is another tornado warning. You remember that storm cell that we were talking about that was in northern Coosa County? Well, it did end up showing signs of rotation as it moved out of Coosa County. This is in portions of, we'll go ahead and put a little bit of a storm track or what's going on with the storm. It's in Calhoun, Clay, Cleburne, and Talladega counties. Again, that's outside of our viewing area, but if you have friends or family in these regions, these counties in Alabama, then just note that places affected by this could be Oxford. That's there along the interstate, Talladega, the city itself. And let's go ahead and zoom things out real quickly, show you a broader view. We'll go ahead and turn that off. I'll go ahead and erase it, and we'll show you the reflectivity, because these are very messy storms that are currently ongoing across the state of Alabama. So we have those cluster of tornado warnings that's north of us, which includes Bibb, portions of Chilton and Shelby County, and then over here in portions of Talladega heading up toward Cleburne and those places. And then a little bit further south, we're seeing this line of showers and storms that stretches over into West Alabama and eventually down down toward the coastal counties of Alabama. Notice how these are individual storm cells. It's not really along a line. So we'll have to see how those interact with our atmosphere as it goes into a region that's relatively untouched here in south and central Alabama, including the river region. Really haven't seen any rain yet here in Montgomery. It's been off toward our west and off toward our north as it moves into that newly issued tornado watch area, which is for the remainder of our region. That'll go through the early morning hours on Sunday. So this will be an overnight event. Remember, we'll be here with you through the remainder of the event. And before we send it back to regularly scheduled programming here on WSFA 12 News, I want to go through the future view, first alert by hour, so we can get the latest timing with the storm threat, these storm cells. Here's what's ongoing now that we're tracking here across our region as it pushes closer toward the river region. We're seeing these clusters of showers and storms on first alert by hour moving closer to the river region, the I-65 corridor south of Montgomery as we head toward 10 o'clock tonight. And then it moves into East Alabama as we move through the early morning hours on Sunday down toward the Wiregrass as we head toward 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday and toward the Chattahoochee River Valley. And then eventually it gets out of here. We start to clear things out and much calmer weather is expected as we head through the remainder of our Sunday and then into the start of next week. So just got to make it through today, this first alert weather day. And of course, we'll see a lot calmer conditions as we head toward tomorrow afternoon and through the start of next week. So it's going to be a bumpy night tonight, Josh and Amanda. These thunderstorms are electric, lots of lightning, gusting winds, could have hail within them. So definitely something to stay weather alert. And just note that we will be here for you through the rest of our night and into the morning hours tomorrow.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're not going anywhere. We're going to drop coverage momentarily. Quite frankly, we need to do a little storm analysis. When we're up here communicating to you, we can do some of it, but we can do it better when we're just able to focus in on the storms a little bit. So we're going to do that. We will jump back on, by the way, later on this evening. We'll update you on that. We've got our newscast at 9. WSFA's Bounce TV airs on 12.2. Tonight at 9 o'clock. So, and then we've got WSFA 12 News at 10 coming up as well. We will also be watching the storms kind of minute by minute. If we see anything at all that we think is dangerous, we'll be sure to let you know about it. So for now, we're going to send you back to regularly scheduled programming. Keep an eye on the First Alert Weather app for updates throughout the evening.